Every executive woman needs to watch this a million times on repeat. So if you don't know how to communicate your value in one sentence, you are making it impossible for anyone empowered to advocate for you. Save this and actually do it. So every time I teach this, I get flooded with messages from women saying, no one has ever explained it to me this way before, which tells me something very clearly. You're not stuck because you're not working hard enough. You're stuck because you're speaking the wrong language. So let's fix it. So grab a pen and paper, not your phone, because this requires you to think differently, not just consume. So I want you to draw a line down the middle of the paper. So on the left side, I want you to write out what you believe your role actually is, what you actually do, your responsibilities, how you contribute. Okay. Then count the number of words. If it took you more than 10 words to explain your value, you cannot clearly articulate it. And if you can't clearly articulate it, guess what? Your CEO and board will never see you as executive material, not because you're not capable, but because you're not translating that capability into something they can actually understand. At the executive level, no one really cares about your tasks. They care about what outcome you're bringing. So they're not sitting in meetings thinking, wow, she works so hard. They're thinking, does this person make the company more money, protect the money we already have, or make this organization run more efficiently? That's it. And when you start over explaining or you start listing responsibilities, their brain's checking out, not because they don't respect you, but because you're forcing them to do the extra work to understand your value, and they don't. So now let's fix that. So on the right side of that paper, write only 3 things every organization cares about. And I'm going to give those to you. That's revenue or funding, process, and people in that order. So revenue, that keeps the organization alive. Process, that's what keeps it efficient and that revenue profitable. And people, that's what sustains and scales both. So everything you do fits into one of those 3 categories. Now, here's where most of you struggle, especially if you're not in a revenue generating role. You've been taught to describe the value based on what you do, not what it produces. So you say things like, I manage teams, I oversee ops, I support leadership, and none of that really means anything at the executive level because it's not tied to an outcome. So instead, I want you to ask yourself how your work increases revenue or protects the profitability of that revenue, even if you're behind the scenes, because if your role didn't impact the bottom line in some way, the role wouldn't exist. Your job is to find that connection and own it. Then condense it into one clear outcome-driven sentence that answers how you make the organization better, how you make them faster, and a hell of a lot more profitable. This is how an executive communicates. That is how they are perceived, and that is how it's going to get you into those higher level conversations. Because the women that move up the fastest, they're not the ones that are doing the most. They're the ones who's translating what they actually do into business impact very quickly and very confidently. So write with one sentence, make it clear, make it outcome driven, and make it something your CEO could repeat when they're advocating for you in a room that you're not in. So write that out, drop it in the comments, and I'll tell you directly whether it sounds like someone that's ready for the next level or someone that's still thinking like an employee, and send this to an executive woman that needs to hear it.